Hare Krishna. This is Sri Krishna Lila book which I have bought from the Iskcon temple. Iskcon temple. There is a lot of Iskcon centers in the world. So I have brought this now. Today I am reading this one chapter name chapter number 48 which is named Sri Krishna praises his devotees. Just here only. Hare Krishna. For days together, Sri Krishna heard from Uddhav all the details of his visit to Vrindavan, especially the condition of his father and mother, and of the gopis and the cowherd boys. Lord Shri Krishna was fully satisfied that Uddhav was able to solace them by his instructions and by the message delivered to them. Lord Shri Krishna then decided to go to the house of Kubja, the hunchback woman who had pleased him by offering him sandalwood pulp when he was entering the city of Mathura. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna always tries to please his devotees as much as the devotees try to please Sri Krishna. As the devotees always thinks of Sri Krishna within their hearts, Sri Krishna also thinks of his devotees within himself. When Kubja was converted into a beautiful society girl, she wanted Sri Krishna to come to her place so that she could try to receive and worship him in her own way. Society girls generally try to satisfy their clients by offering their bodies for the man to enjoy. But this society girl Kupcha was actually captivated by lust to satisfy her senses with Sri Krishna. When Sri Krishna desired to go to the house of Kupcha, he certainly had no desire for sense gratification. By supplying the sandalwood pulp to Sri Krishna, Kupja had already satisfied his senses on the plea of her sense gratification. However, he decided to go to her house, not actually for sense gratification, but to turn her into a pure devotee. Sri Krishna is always served by many thousands of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, he has no need to satisfy his senses by going to a society girl. But because he is kind to everyone, he decided to go there. But because he is kind to everyone, he decided to go there. It is said that the moon does not withhold its shining from the country yard of a crooked person. Similarly, Sri Krishna's transactional mercy is never denied to anyone who has rendered service unto him, whether through lust, anger, fear, or pure love. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that if one wants to serve Sri Krishna and at the same time wants to satisfy his own lusty desires, Sri Krishna will handle the situation so that the devotee forgets his lusty desires and becomes fully purified and constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. To fulfill his promise, Sri Krishna along with Uddhav went to the house of Kubja, who was very eager to get Sri Krishna for the satisfaction of her lusty desires. When Sri Krishna reached her house, he saw that it was completely decorated in a way to excite the lusty desires of a man. This suggests that there were many nude pictures on top of which were canopies and flags embroidered with pearl necklaces, along with comfortable beds and cushioned chairs. The rooms were provided with flower garlands and were nicely scented with incense and sprinkled with scented water, and the rooms were illuminated by nice lamps. When Kupja saw that Lord Shri Krishna had come to her house to fulfill his promised visit, she immediately got up from her chair to receive him cordially. Accompanied by her many girlfriends, she began to talk with him with great respect and honor. After offering him a nice place to sit, she worshipped Lord Shri Krishna in a manner just suitable to her position. Uddhava was similarly received by Kubja and her girlfriends, but he did not want to sit on an equal level with Sri Krishna, and thus he simply sat down on the floor. As one usually does in such situations, Sri Krishna entered the bedroom of Kubja without wasting time. In the meantime, Kubja took her bath and smeared her body with sandalwood pulp. She dressed herself with nice garments, valuable jewelry, ornaments, and flower garlands. After chewing betel nut and other intoxicating eatables and spraying herself with scents, she appeared before Sri Krishna. Her smiling glance and moving eyebrows were full of feminine bashfulness as she stood gracefully before Lord Sri Krishna, who is known as Madhav, the husband of the goddess of fortune. When Sri Krishna saw Kubja hesitating to come before him, he immediately caught hold of her hand, which was decorated with bangles. With great affection, he dragged her near him and made her sit by his side. Simply by having previously supplied pulp of sandalwood to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Kubja became free from all sinful reactions and eligible to enjoy with him. She then took Sri Krishna's lotus feet and placed them on her breasts, which were burning with the blazing fire of lust. By smelling the fragrance of Sri Krishna's lotus feet, she was immediately relieved of all lusty desires. She was thus allowed to embrace Sri Krishna with her arms and mitigate her long cherished desire to have him as a visitor in her house. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one must be freed of all material sinful reactions before one can engage in the transactional loving service of the Lord. Simply by supplying sandalwood pulp to Sri Krishna, Kubja was thus rewarded. She was not trained to worship Sri Krishna in any other way. Therefore, she wanted to satisfy him by her profession. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord can be worshipped even by one's profession if it is sincerely offered for the pleasure of the Lord. Kubja told Sri Krishna, "My dear friend, kindly remain with me at least for a few days and enjoy with me." Hare Krishna. My dear lotus-eyed friend, I cannot leave you immediately. Please grant my request. As stated in the Vedic versions, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has multi-potencies. According to expert opinion, Kubja represents the Bhu-Shakti potency of Sri Krishna, just as Srimati Radharani represents his Chit-Shakti potency. Although Kubja requested Sri Krishna to remain with her for some days, Sri Krishna politely impressed upon her that it was not possible for him to stay. Sri Krishna visits this material world occasionally, whereas his connection with the spiritual world is eternal. Sri Krishna is always present either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the Golok Vrindavan planet. The technical term of his presence in the spiritual world is a Prakriti Leela. After satisfying Kubja with sweet words, Sri Krishna returned home with Uddhav. There is a warning in Srimad Bhagavatam that Sri Krishna is not very easily worshipped, for he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the chief among the Vishnu Tattvas. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. To worship Sri Krishna or have association with him is not very easy. Especially there is a warning for devotees attracted to Sri Krishna through conjugal love. It is not good for them to desire sense gratification by direct association with Sri Krishna. Actually, the activities of sense gratification are material. In the spiritual world, there are symptoms like kissing and embracing, but there is no sense gratificatory process as it exists in the material world. This warning is especially for those known as Sahajas, who take it for granted that Sri Krishna is an ordinary human being. They desire to enjoy sex life with him in a perverted way. In a spiritual relationship, sense gratification is most insignificant. Anyone who desires a relationship of perverted sense gratification with Sri Krishna must be considered less intelligent. His mentality requires to be reformed. Hare Krishna. After a while, Sri Krishna fulfilled his promise to visit Akrura at his house. Akrura was in relationship with Sri Krishna as his servitor, and Sri Krishna wanted to get some service from him. He went there accompanied by Lord Balaramji and Uddhav. When Sri Krishna Balaram, when Sri Krishna Balaramji and Uddhavji approached the house of Akrura, Akrura came forward, embraced Uddhav, and offered respectful obeisances, bowing down before Lord Sri Krishna and Balaramji. Sri Krishna, Balaramji, and Uddhav offer him obeisances in turn and were offered appropriate sitting places. When all were comfortably seated, Akrura washed their feet and sprinkled the water on his head. Then he offered nice clothing, flowers, and sandalwood pulp in regular worship. All three of them were very satisfied by Akrura's behavior. Akrura then bowed down before Lord Sri Krishna, putting his head on the ground. Then placing Sri Krishna's lotus feet on his lap, Akrura gently began to massage them. When Akrura was fully satisfied in the presence of Sri Krishna and Balaramji, his eyes filled with tears of love for Sri Krishna, and he began to offer his prayers as follows. My dear Lord Sri Krishna and Balaramji, it is very kind of you to have killed Kamsa and his associates. You have delivered the whole family of the Yadu dynasty from the greatest calamity. The Yadus will always remember you. You are saving of their great dynasty. Yes. My dear Lord Sri Krishna and Balaramji, both of you are the original personality from whom everything has emanated, the original cause of all causes. You have inconceivable energy and you are all pervasive. There is no cause and effect, gross or subtle, but you are the Supreme Brahman, realized through the study of the Vedas. By your inconceivable energy, you are actually visible before us. You create this cosmic manifestation by your own potencies, and you enter into it yourself. As the five material elements earth, water, fire, air, and sky are disturbed in everything manifested by different kinds of bodies, so you alone enter the various bodies created by your own energy. You enter the body as the individual soul and independently as the super soul. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the material body is created by Sri Krishna's inferior energy, that the living entities, the individual soul, are his parts and parcels, and that the supreme super soul is his localized representation. Thus, while the material body, the living entity, and the super soul constitute an individual living being, originally they are all different energies of the one Supreme Lord. Akrura continued, in the material world, you create, maintain, and dissolve the whole manifestation by the interactions of the three material qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. but you are not implicated in the activities of those material qualities. For your supreme knowledge is never overcome like the knowledge of the individual living entity. Hare Krishna. The Supreme Lord enters the material cosmos and causes creation, maintenance, and destruction in their due course. Whereas the part and parcel living entity enters the material elements and has his material body created for him. The difference between the living entity and the Lord is that the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and has the tendency to be overcome by the interactions of the material qualities. Sri Krishna, the Parabrahman, or the Supreme Brahman, being always situated in full knowledge, is never overcome by such activities. Therefore, Sri Krishna is called Achyuta, meaning he who never falls down. Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna's knowledge of his spiritual identity is never overcome by material action, whereas the minute part and parcel living entities are prone to forget their spiritual identity due to material action. The individual living entities are eternally part and parcels of God, minute sparks of the original fire, Sri Krishna. As sparks are prone to be extinguished but not the blazing fire, so the living entities can be overcome by material activities, whereas Sri Krishna never can. Akrura continued, less intelligent men misunderstand your transitional form to be made of material energy, but that concept is not at all applicable to you. Actually, you are all spiritual, and there is no difference between you and your body. Therefore, there is no question of your being conditioned or liberated. You are ever liberated in any condition of life. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, only fools and rascals consider you an ordinary man. To consider your lordship one of us, conditioned by the material nature, is a mistake due to our imperfect knowledge. When people divide from the original knowledge of the Vedas, they try to identify the ordinary living entities with your lordship who have appeared on this earth in your original form to re-establish the real knowledge that the living entities are neither one with nor equal to the Supreme God. My dear Lord, you are always situated in uncontaminated goodness, Suddha Tattva. Your appearance is necessary to re-establish actual Vedic knowledge as opposed to the atheistic philosophy which tries to establish that God and the living entities are one and the same. My dear Lord Shri Krishna, this time you have appeared in the home of Vasudeva as his son with your plenary expansion, Sri Balramji. Your mission is to kill all the atheistic royal families and destroy their huge military strength. You have advented yourself to minimize the burden of the world, and to fulfill this mission, you have glorified the dynasty of Yadu by appearing as one of his members. Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, today my home has been purified by your presence. I have become the most fortunate person in the world, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipable by all different kinds of demigods, Pitas, kings, emperors, and others living entities, and who is the super soul of everything, has come into my home. The water of his lotus feet purifies the three worlds, and now he has kindly come to my place, who in the three worlds, among factually learned men, will not take shelter of your lotus feet and surrender unto you, who knowing well that no one can be as affectionate as you are to your devotees, is so foolish that he will decline to become your devotee. Throughout the Vedic literature, it is declared that you are the dearmost friend of every living entity. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, completely capable of fulfilling the desires of your devotees. You are the real friend of everyone. In spite of giving yourself to your devotees, you are never depleted of your original potency. Your potency neither decreases nor increases in volume. My dear Lord, it is very difficult for even great mystic yogis and demigods to ascertain your movements or approach you. Yet out of your causeless mercy, you have kindly consented to come to my home. This is the most auspicious moment in the journey of my material existence. By your grace only, I can now understand that my home, my wife, my children, and my worldly possessions are all bonds to material existence. Please cut the knot and save me from this entanglement of false society, friendship, and love. Lord Shri Krishna was very much pleased by Akrura's offering of prayers, with his smile captivating Akrura more and more. The Lord replied to his submissive devotional statements with the following sweet verse: My dear Akrura, in spite of your submissiveness, I consider you my superior on the level with my father and teacher and most well wishing friend. You are therefore to be worshipped by me, and since you are my uncle, I am always to be protected by you. I desire you to maintain me, for I am one of your own children. Apart from this filial relationship, an exalted devotee like you is always to be worshipped by everyone. Anyone who desires good fortune must offer his respectful obeisances unto personalities like you, who are greater than the demigods. People worship the demigods when in need of some sense gratification, and the demigods offer benedictions to their devotees after being worshipped. But a devotee like you, Akrura, is always ready to offer people the greatest benediction. A saintly person or devotee is free to offer benedictions to everyone, whereas the demigods can offer benedictions only after being worshipped. One can take advantage of a place of pilgrimage only after going there, and worshipping a particular demigod involves waiting a long time for the fulfillment of one's desire. But saintly persons like you, my dear Akrura, can immediately fulfill all the desires of a devotee. My dear Akrura, you are always our friend and well wisher. You are always ready to act for our welfare. Kindly therefore go to Hastinapur and see what arrangement has been made for the Pandavas. Shri Krishna was anxious to know about the sons of Pandu because at a very young age they had lost their father, being very friendly to his devotees. Shri Krishna was anxious to know about them, and therefore he deputed Akrura to go to Hastinapur and get information of the real situation. Shri Krishna continued, I have heard that after King Pandu's death, his young sons Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev, along with their widowed mother, have come under the charge of Dhritarashtra, who is to look after them as their guardian. But I have also heard that Dhritarashtra is not only blind from birth, but also blind in his affection for his cruel son Duryodhan. The five Pandavas are the sons of King Pandu, But Dhritarashtra, due to Duryodhana's plans and designs, is not favorably disposed toward them. Can't we go there and study how Dhritarashtra is dealing with the Pandavas? On receipt of your report, I shall consider how to favor them. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, ordered Akrura to go to Hastinapur, and then he returned home, accompanied by Balramji and Uddhav. The saying the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the 48th chapter of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna praises his devotees. Hare Krishna.